Okay, guys, so let's say that we are wanting to fill in some information on this table here, and we've got first and last name, and we're going to write out which campus they're signed with. Now, this would be, I guess, relatively easy to just type in the campus name, but it would be even easier and more awesome if we had drop downs here. And we could just click the little arrow and it shows us a list of the campuses, and we can just click on which one it was and then move on to the next one and not have to type out Marine Creek or Chisholm Trail or any of the other really, really long campus names that we have in our district. So the way we accomplish that is by establishing a list. And a list is very much like a table, only not as fancy. So what we can do, if you see right here, this little bar here, it might be a little smaller on yours. I've widened it out because I'm a nerd, but that there gives you the names of your information here. So I can grab all of these campus names here. Oops, I'm forgetting one. Let's go Highland. All right. And we've got all of these middle schools here and the high schools. So we've got our secondary campuses here. And now in this box, I can click here. It says J2, which is the first cell in this group of names. And I'm going to call this secondary, if I can type, campus L for secondary campus list, and then hit enter. And that solidifies this as a list. Now, this is a list called Secondary Campus List that exists in this Excel worksheet, and I can reference back to this throughout the worksheet as the Secondary Campus List. So the way you make this into drop downs is I'm going to highlight this column here. I could do it for just one cell, but I'm going to go ahead and do the whole column. And then under the Data tab, if you're not on the Data tab, you can jump over to Data. Under Data Tools is Data Validation. So click Validation, and then we're going to allow, you can tell it to only allow certain things, and then that way, like if a whole number, so if someone tries to put in decimals, it's going to kick it back and not allow it. But I'm going to say List, and then Source, you can click the little, if you're on the same spreadsheet, you can click the arrow, highlight this, and look, it made it equals secondary campus L. Now, if you're not, let's say this secondary campus L is existing on a different sheet, and I don't want to click over to a different sheet and all that kind of stuff, and I just happen to know the name of it, I can just type it in here, equals secondary campus L. And that's really one of the key reasons why it's important to name these things. Like this table needs to have a name, this list needs to have a name, so that you can find these things. You can add little things on the end, like L for list, tell me this is a list. I could have a completely different thing and have a table. It could be secondary campus T for secondary campus table, but it wouldn't work in this data validation thing as a table. So that's why we're using a list. I can click OK, and now look, it gives me this little drop down. And now I've got all of these different campuses for each one. I can go through and quickly assign each person to a different campus. Isn't that neat? So there is that. We can take this and move it to a different spot altogether. And look, the drop down still works because it's named. It's looking for that name. It doesn't matter where it is in the Excel. It doesn't have to be junking up the sheet you're in. It can be in a different sheet. You could create a special sheet just for your lists. That's the best way to go. And now you've got this quick information that you can dump in here. And then just like your tables before, you can come through and you can sort and filter and all sorts of fun stuff. Very, very useful stuff. Hope you can